is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for two, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You need us. You really need us on a Monday morning. It's the early line on the SportsGrid Network. It's time to get busy, and the next 2 hours are going to be action-filled. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. Have you ever been to Las Vegas, Joe, where you see, like, hey, what's going on in that corner over there? Oh, they're playing a card game where they hide a shell under the card and they move things around like 3-card Monte. Good luck in the NFL, baby, because yesterday was absolute mayhem. And we're here to play armchair quarterback on a Monday to get you ready for a Monday Night Football game, some more Major League Baseball games, but more importantly, what the heck happened yesterday in the NFL, Joe?
A lot of sadness, a lot of tears for a lot of bettors, Donnie. Not just yesterday, but Saturday was no better in college football for those that the betting public. There were a lot of sides and teams that just did not deliver for the public. A lot of tears here, Donnie. A lot of less bank accounts as well.
Yeah, we got to get this started today. This show, we got to get absolutely rolling right now. Get your cup of Joe. Get ready to go because the energy is high. It's a house of horrors, Joe. What do you got?
Oh, Donnie, it's, as we begin the month of October and we begin to see the leaves change and, of course, the Halloween decorations go up around our neighborhoods. I thought today would be a good time to talk about the NFL's version of a haunted house, Donnie, a place where dreams, hopes, and more importantly, careers go to die, because that's exactly what being the coach of the New York Jets must feel like. It's a staggering, if not soul-crushing burden, Donnie. And, oh, yeah, the new guy, Coach Aaron Glenn, he is finding this out the hard way. Now, this was the guy that walked into his very first press conference, Donnie, if you remember, good old Bill Parcells-esque, telling everyone to buckle up because, quote, we're the friggin' New York Jets, and we're built for this poo, so to speak. Well, fast forward 5 weeks here, Donnie. He is now the first coach in franchise history to start his career 0-5. Oh, yeah, by the way, he's got to hop on a plane and go to London to play up the Denver Broncos next. Can anybody say 0-6? That tough guy, though, that we saw, Donnie, yeah, he's gone. Long gone. Humbled. He has been diminished by the experience, just like every single coach who came before him and walked in to that haunted house known as the New York Jets organization. And it only took 5 weeks before we saw desperation, Donnie, start to set in, right? We're talking about a coach now who has watched a epically bad defense and an offense that can't stop fumbling the ball. So what does he do this past week? He throws on a boxing glove in practice to try and punch the ball out of his players' arms, hoping the defense would take note. But instead, what happened? Well, Breece Hall fumbled anyway, and it didn't take a boxing glove by the Cowboys defense to get it done. This curse is real, Donnie. I mean, real. They got booed off their own field at halftime yesterday. Their defense made some guy named Ryan Flournoy, look like Justin Jefferson. Yeah, Flonase, exactly. And by the way, they made history by failing to get a single takeaway as a defense for the 5th straight game. It is a comedy of errors, only it's not funny anymore. And here's the tell. A few weeks ago, after a loss, Aaron Glenn brought up that phrase again, quote, same old Jets, right? Remember he did that unprompted? Well, that tells you everything you need to know. The pressure is already in his head. And the lesson for us bettors is simple, guys. It doesn't matter who the coach is. It doesn't matter what they say in January. The Jets are the Jets. And until they prove otherwise on the field, they are an automatic fade from here on out because this franchise isn't built for poo. It just built of it, Donnie.
Oh, caffeinated early on a Monday. You don't even need coffee here in that rant right there from my guy, Joe Ranieri. And he's right about that because when you look at the sideline and they show Aaron Glenn, he looks defeated every single time they show over. Like, I can't even coach this team up at this point. You might as well get rid of me now. The Jets. The Jets, Jets. Oh, boy. We'll see. Well, maybe we'll love it overseas at this point right now. You know what time it is, Joe? Time to get the early lineup ready to go, rocking and rolling. Did you watch last night? The final unbeaten team in the NFL was the Buffalo Bills. They are no longer unbeaten. New England goes in against the icy white uniforms of the Buffalo Bills and handles their business 23-20.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, we knew that game was going to be tough. The Patriots weren't going to roll over. We saw nothing but Patriots money. But, Donnie, this was more about the Bills beating themselves in that game than necessarily the Patriots doing anything extraordinary. You can't turn the ball 3 times, over 3 times, twice inside your opponent's 10-yard line and expect to walk away with a win in a big division matchup, and the Bills learned that the hard way.
You know, us learned it the hard way that you need good football players to win football games. This is the Baltimore Ravens who dropped to 1-4. They got smoked by 34 points at home to C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. Cooper Rush was 14 of 20, $179 with 3 interceptions. Derrick Henry, 15 carries, 33 yards. Maybe Lamar Jackson is worth $1 billion to that franchise. 44-10.
Well, it all starts because you made C.J. Stroud, who threw 4 touchdowns, look like an MVP, and we know that offense isn't. Listen, you're asking backups on the offensive side to try and play catch-up, Donnie. That is never going to work. That defense remains the issue for the Ravens.
And by the way, congratulations, Derrick Henry there. 110th rushing touchdown ties, Walter Payton 5th all time. I don't really know if that's a big celebration, getting smacked at home by 34. And basically, I don't know, they out of the playoff picture at 1-4. Lamar's not coming back anytime soon. Danger ahead for Baltimore. How about Jordan Addison? You're a bad boy. You're going to sit out that first quarter due to suspension. But hey, Vikings coming back there with a victory yesterday. How about that? 21-17 over the Browns.
Yeah, right. So he was benched again for the first quarter. This after coming off a already league suspension in this game. He didn't make it to the walkthrough this week, but he did make it to the fourth quarter, Donnie, which is all that mattered, and bailed out Carson Wentz in Minnesota and got that win. But kudos to Minnesota for spending a month there and finally getting a win. And the Browns, maybe, just maybe, they found themselves a quarterback.
You're a retired NFL football player. You have a pretty cush job calling games on Sundays. You probably make good money. Here's what you probably don't do, allegedly. Get liquored up, fight with an Uber driver, end up getting stabbed, and then you get arrested when you wake up out of surgery. Mark Sanchez, brother, what are you doing?
Yeah, like being an Uber Eats driver is not an easy job, Donnie. It's just not an easy job. Delivering food just after midnight and a dude named Mark Sanchez gets in your face because of where you double parked your car. Please, you can't make this up. Only Mark Sanchez, you're 38 years old. You're not 22 anymore at USC. Nobody is going to cover up your mess. And boy, oh boy, did you get yourself into a big mess here.
How about Keenan Allen? He's not in a mess here. 1,000th reception here, one of the fastest to ever do it in the NFL. But the Commanders came to town and smoked the Chargers 27-10 yesterday.
Listen, the backups to the backup on the offensive line of the Chargers are getting hurt, Donnie. It is a hot mess right now offensively. Kudos to Keenan Allen, but unless he can be the blindside blocker for Justin Herbert, he might not be getting that many more of those.
Cardinals were up 21-6 at the half. DeMarcado bust a long run, which is going to be a touchdown to put them up, 28-6. 22-21 final. The Titans win. The Cardinals lose. Kyler Murray gets banged up. Oh, that one of the worst losses you're going to see to a horrendous football team.
You cannot fix stupid, Donnie. And that's exactly what the Cardinals play. Stupid football.
How about this? Stupid for Major League Baseball. Like, I understand the playoffs are going to go. Maybe you don't just go afternoon head-to-head in the NFL. You can maneuver your schedules around to avoid that Sunday. Well, if you did watch, the Yankees got blasted, and they're on the brink of elimination, Joe.
I lost a bet. I said the Blue Jays would score more runs than the Titans scored points. I was wrong, Donnie.
Ooh, Yankees, Phillies tonight. National League back in our lives. Monday Night Football, much more to go. And also, stay tuned. It's Spreadlines.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat during the trade deadline. A lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back an asset if you can.
Oh, you do. Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Hour number one in full effect right here on the early line. SportsGrid Network, Donnie Rightside, along with Joe Ranieri, armchair quarterback. Yep, we'll play that. But what we love to do is, you used to wake up in the morning. Most kids don't understand this anymore. Hey, you know what? You go out front and you get the paper. You go around to the corner, you pick up a couple papers, you open it up and say, I wonder what's going on today and also this week. That's what we do in Spreadlines here. It's the spreads and headlines and why you need to care. And some people, Joe Ranieri, might say, you know what? South Florida, North Texas. Why is that going to get my attention on a Friday night? Did you know South Florida's 4-1 on the season with an unbelievably tough schedule and ranked inside the top 25? North Texas, 5-0. The spread line, Joe, is what?
Yeah, I mean, Donnie, this is going to be, honestly, one of the most entertaining games you are going to see all week, and you only have to wait until Friday for it to happen. The American Conference is going to deliver. This opened originally at a pick'em. And boy, oh boy, I mean, you can see where some of the bettors early on have jumped all over North Texas. This game will be in Denton with the Mean Green as a slight favorite. But I want to draw your attention, Donnie, to that total right now. 67 and a half. You think this is going to be a shootout? I promise you this is going to be a shootout. But I do think we're going to see more money coming back in on South Florida. If you're worried about the heat, possible humidity, and it's still pretty warm there in Denton, Texas, you don't have to worry about it with a team from Tampa, Florida, who thrives in that atmosphere. Listen, South Florida has the higher profile because of wins, their game against Miami, which they didn't win, but they showed up, but they did beat Florida. They beat Boise State. UNT, a little under the radar, but Donnie, the fact that this line has moved in their direction and not South Florida, which has the more impressive schedule, well, that tells you where the pros early on this week are leaning. Keep an eye on the University of North Texas, South Florida line.
How about this one? Let's get the Saturday in the SEC, a noon kickoff. It's Alabama and Missouri. This look-ahead line opened up, Joe, around a touchdown. We're now down to 3.5 as a favorite for Alabama. Total listed at 53.5. That also dropping from the look-ahead line. The spread line for Alabama and Missouri, Joe, is what?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, Donnie. You just said it there, right? Because we saw Bama open up here as a bigger favorite in just about every book. But boy, has money come in on Missouri in a big way early on this week here. Not to mention, we've seen the total and the under trying to come in here. So given how well both of these quarterbacks have played up to this point on these two teams, keep an eye on that total. I find it fascinating that we're starting to see it inch down. This is not one of the all-time greatest Alabama defenses. Missouri's defense is actually better than a lot of people think. If this number gets to 3, Donnie, I'm going to be very interested to see here which way the market moves and where the sharp's in. I think that's what they're going to be waiting for. Two evenly matched teams, and they are at least perceived to be even. Can we get to that key number of 3? Keep an eye on this early in the week.
3:30 Saturday afternoon, Indiana's going to travel out to Oregon, and based on anybody who plays in the Big Ten, the coach probably should be crying, well, why don't they get on a plane and travel out to the West Coast? It's so unfair. We're in the Big Ten at this point. We should just be playing in the Rust Belt. Stop the madness here. Indiana's going out there as an 8.5 to 7.5 point underdog, which is actually down from double digits on the look-ahead line. 51.5 is a total, skyrocketing, Joe, up to 55.5. Entertainment, you're going to get it. The spread line for Indiana, Oregon is what?
Well, it's without a doubt, Donnie, the biggest game of this week because of what it means in the college football playoff landscape, right? I mean, Indiana was there a year ago, even though they got destroyed by Ohio State in the regular season and then Notre Dame in the college football playoff. Kurt Cignetti, though, and his team, once again, unblemished start right there, and their performances looking pretty good so far. But Oregon, to me, is on a far different level than the 5 teams that the Hoosiers have beaten thus far. Still, it looks like, call me crazy, that he's still getting some love here in the marketplace. I think there's a lot of Oregon money on the sidelines early this week, Donnie. Keep an eye on it. I think Cignetti is going to be the popular side. It's going to be one of these trendy dogs, but I think the reality is the Oregon money is coming, and get the best number while you can. If you want to back Oregon, back it early because late you're going to get the worst of the number.
Altson Stadium should be rocking on Saturday. We'll watch that game play out. How about a nice one tonight, Joe? Monday Night Football, Kansas City and Jacksonville. This line opened up as a 2.5 point favorite for Kansas City. We now see 3.5s across the board, and a total listed at 45.5. Mahomes and Lawrence. The spread line for you tonight, Joe, is what?
Well, I mean, the fact that the hook has been there and has stayed there, Donnie, is very telling in this game. Also, the total, which has come down a little bit. This was as high as 46 and a half. And we've got two different trains of thought here, right? After last week, we have the bettors who say, Kansas City's back, baby. It's back. That offense is back with Xavier Worthy and company. And then you got the other side that says, well, Jacksonville, this isn't the same old Jacksonville with Liam Cohn and company here. So what gives? I don't know that this gets down to 3, Donnie. If anything, I think this begins to rise. So if you like Jacksonville, now would be the time to bet them, Donnie. Get that hook while you can, because I don't see 3 happening before. I don't think Jacksonville money is waiting on the sidelines to come before kickoff. Grab the 3.5 if you like Jacksonville now.
Waiting on you, Travis Hunter, to appear tonight. Also waiting on the Phillies to bounce back after getting beat 3-0 in Game 1 of the NLDS. Now we take a look at Snell and Luzardo on the mound tonight. The favorite is the Dodgers at a -132 price here in a total of 7.5. Joe, Philadelphia baseball versus the Dodgers. What's your spread line here?
Well, the spread line is, right, Luzardo and the Phillies. Well, Luzardo's in charge of saving the Phillies season here tonight, going up against Blake Snell, who I don't believe the Phillies have faced yet this year. But, Donnie, to me, I'm going to ask you on the spread line, is it worth backing the Phillies on the series price at this number now, or do you think it's over because they're not winning this game against Blake Snell?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, they didn't obviously hit against Ohtani all that well. They got to bounce back. They usually struggle sometimes against lefties. And, oh, man, what a bad weekend for Philadelphia sports fans. Let's talk about Sunday Night Football next.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat during the trade deadline. A lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back an asset if you can.
Oh, you do. Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes a return home can live up to the hype. Sometimes it doesn't. How about Sunday Night Football, the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills? Stephon Diggs was interviewed before the game on the field. Hey, man, look, Loved my years here. Played 4 years, made a lot of money. We had some successes, didn't get over the hump, but always have a lot of love for this crowd. Diggs, 10 catches, 146 yards in his homecoming. Drake May, 22 of 30, protected the football, 273 in the air, and then chipped in with 12 yards on the ground. No big deal. The winners, not the Buffalo Bills, were unbeaten. The New England Patriots, staking their claim as, we could be able to win this division here. How about those Patriots on the road on a Sunday night, Joe?
Well, and I think we're watching, right, the maturation here of Drake May turn himself into a franchise quarterback. And it's kind of crazy when you think of, Drake May and who his coaches were a year ago versus the coaching staff that he has now. And you're starting to see why, he's case in point, Donnie. Coaching matters in the NFL, especially with young guys. And Drake May, boy, oh boy, I mean, that kid in prime time was tough. And Stephon Diggs took him a little while to get it going. But once the second half came in prime time, he did what he did a lot in Buffalo in front of those fans, only he's wearing a Patriots jersey. But if you're the Bills, you can't turn the ball over 3 times. Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, doesn't make a difference.
Nope.
You turn it over 3 times in a divisional game, that's a hole you probably, not even the Bills are going to be able to dig themselves out of.
Pretty good defense here by the New England Patriots as well. You take a look at Josh Allen, who had 9 carries for 53 yards. You remove that in the equation. Like, James Cook's an explosive runner. 15 carries for only 49 yards in that game. Dalton Kincaid, first time he ever went over 100 yards receiving. But the rest of it, Shakir, 45 yards. Palmer, 36. Samuel, 26. Not a lot of excitement on that end, but there were chances for the Buffalo Bills to even come back and win that football game. But credit the New England Patriots getting the drive when they needed, when that game was at 20-20 to get that victory. That was exciting because you take a look, too. The whiteout crowd, the excitement, the new uniforms, maybe people talking about the best team in football, Buffalo. The Eagles had lost earlier in the day, the only undefeated team, and that's no more. Patriots beat the Bills, the Broncos beat the Eagles, and away we go. The Dolphins of 1972 can crack the champagne open once again. Am I looking at this as the Buffalo Bills can't recover? No, it's the NFL. It's a week-to-week league. We get that. But I was really impressed by the Patriots. First back-to-back win in what feels like an eon at this point right now. Really impressive. Didn't even, by the way, running game for the Patriots. You thought that would be a big deal. Like, Drake May does have some wheels, barely gained any yards. Travion Henderson, 6 for 24. Gibson, 6 for 21. Stevenson, 7 for 14. Like, the Buffalo Bills defense did play well. It was just a better team being the Patriots overall in the night. Don't turn the football over. That's always the key.
Well, it is. And, I mean, Drake May, it was in the second half alone, Donnie. He was a little skittish early on in the first half, but in the second half, 13 of 14, $184, 273 total yards in a game. That was important because they pretty much abandoned the run. Antonio Gibson got hurt, right? And then Ramondre Stevenson fumbled, and Vrabel was like, absolutely not. But I think it's that remade defense that the Patriots focused on in the offseason, don't forget. All their resources went to fixing that side of the ball. They had some ups and downs early on in the season, but you don't go on the road to Orchard Park on a Sunday night and beat the Bills if that defense ain't living up to its potential.
By the way, Christian Gonzalez, one of the best young cornerbacks in the NFL, banged up throughout the preseason, missed a couple games in the regular season. He comes back, Joe. Take a look at those statistics. 44 coverage snaps, 5 targets against, 2 catches allowed, 1 pass breakup, 6 tackles here. Fantastic performance. And also, if you watch that game late, when it was a 3-point lead for New England, that third down where Josh Allen rolls back, throws it across his body, a great play made by Gonzalez because you know what? Buffalo catches that and converts that third down in the red zone. Buffalo probably scores a touchdown and wins that game. Maybe the play of the game happened there for Christian Gonzalez.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, listen, May was good. He did what he needed to do, but that Patriots defense went in to Orchard Park against the Bills team that doesn't often beat itself, Donnie. Got 3 turnovers, limited the explosive plays, but more importantly, James Cook, 49 yards on 15 carries. Yeah, that's a different look.
Absolutely fantastic. By the way, we do take a look at the Buffalo Bills winning the East. So at a minus 425 price, the Patriots at a plus 360. So not a lot changed there. But when I just look at the New England Patriots, that looks like Vrabel. Hey, you know what? That guy's actually a pretty good coach, man, turning this ship around.
Well, you kind of knew it, right? I mean, it has to start with the defense. And you brought in, you brought in All Reliable as your OC to work with the young quarterback. And all of that is starting to come together now.
Let's get a nice little weekend recap here. The NFL coming up next. What happened in Baltimore, in Philadelphia, and much more right here on the Early Line.
Genti between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The leader right now in the clubhouse in the odds market is Fernando Mendoza. College football purists, yep, absolutely know that guy. Fantastic. He's a great quarterback. Non-purists who are tuning in just for the biggest games, who is this guy, Joe, and how did he get here?
Well, he came from Cal. He's a mobile kid. He's big. He's about 6'3", about 220. He's a gutty kid and had a great performance for Kirk Signetti.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote-unquote can't-miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? Like, what's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Americans got to find answers in these partnerships, and I think they need to look at their who's making these decisions from a stat standpoint.
Well, it's so funny to me, especially coming off of the Walker Cup just a few weeks before, how it just seems like there's this glaring chasm between American partnered match play and American individual, singles match play.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
It's the Early Line on a Monday morning right here on the Sports Grid Network. It's Sonny Rightside and it's Joe Ranieri. There's a movie coming out. It's called The Smashing Machine. It's about a UFC fighter, Mark Kerr, played by The Rock. Donnie, why would you bring that up? I don't know. Maybe the Houston Texans should star in the movie The Smashing Machine because they smashed the Baltimore Ravens yesterday in Baltimore, 44-10. Now, you might tell me, Joe, well, what did you expect out of the Baltimore Ravens? They were injured. The odds maker said this was a 2.5-point line. It wasn't a 37.5-point line. What happened to the Baltimore Ravens, and did they quit? Complete disappointment, Harbaugh says right here in this clip.
Just a complete disappointment, and we're going to have to find a way to turn it around, figure out who we are this next week, and then into the bye and after the bye. We're going to have more than half the season left, and we're going to have to find ourselves. So that's what our aim will be going forward. What questions you have?
I'll tell you right now, questions I have is how hard is practice going to be this week? The Ravens aren't used to getting embarrassed, Joe. 1-4. 1-4.
Yeah, and the worst part is in 3 previous games against Baltimore, C.J. Stroud had failed to get an offensive touchdown against them. So what do? Well, now he's got 4 under his belt, all in that game. And, they were behind the 8 ball right away, Donnie. I mean, no Roquan Smith, no Kyle Hamilton, no Marion Humphrey, all missed the games. They were already dealing with other injuries on the defensive line. This, to me, wasn't so much about Cooper Rush and the offense or lack of it. It was all about the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, and you kept asking Cooper Rush to have to drop back and throw the ball now? It was just bad from the get-go, and it got worse as the game went on.
It really did get worse because you take a look at Stroud, 244 and 4 touchdowns in the air. But the one thing you banked on was Houston does have a good defense, but Baltimore, we're going to run the football. 19 carries, 44 yards. That's not going to help you out. They get blanked by 34 points yesterday in their own building. Now the playoffs start to get a little bit murky here to see what the Baltimore Ravens can do here. Let's move on to Philadelphia. That's me dialing the police. Hello, there was a robbery in Philadelphia. The referees, I don't care what anybody says. Look at that. See that tweet right there? They murdered the Eagles. And every single time the Philadelphia Eagles were trying to get momentum and made a big play, the flag came out. And even when the flag came out, replay came in and took it away. Whether it's a big catch down the sideline for replay or I'm getting sacked, let me throw the football nowhere near anybody and not reach the line of scrimmage, and that doesn't get called for an intentional grounding. Sometimes I get you can lose games, and I get it, and we live with those. But when the refs absolutely take a game away, which they did to Denver a couple weeks ago in Indy, they go, you know what? Ball don't lie. We'll give you a win later this season. The refs gave a win to the Denver Broncos yesterday in Philadelphia, and we all watched it.
Well, I don't know about Gabe, Donnie, but, the Eagles, once again, do they not understand is 4 quarters? Because, again, Donnie, the second half comes around, and the Eagles' offense goes MIA. So, yeah, they had an opportunity, could have won, should have won. But it should never have been given the opportunity for Denver to have to go on a fourth quarter run there and no points on the board in the second half. Again, if they don't boat race teams early and put them out and then hold on for dear life in the second half, that's not a recipe for success. They got to get more consistent first half, second half, especially offensively. Otherwise, you're going to leave that defense hanging out to dry there like they did again yesterday against Denver.
17-3, and the ref said, you know what? What do we got, 6, 7 guys out here? Let's go on defense and help out the Denver Broncos. Never seen anything like it in my life. Horrible call after horrible call after horrible call, every single one against the Philadelphia Eagles. Ridiculous.
Well, why are you throwing it 38 times and only running it 11? What, where is Barkley?
Yeah, well, the running game is defunct right now in Philadelphia. And Landon Dickerson gets injured every other play and is out. So now you used to have a strength in the middle of the line, guard, center, guard. You don't have that anymore, and they're not really able to run the football. So, okay, let's get the wide receivers involved. And that's what they tried yesterday. And it worked until the ref said, hey, you need to take a loss. We promised the Denver Broncos a win. We're going to give it to them today. And that's what happened. Congratulations. If you bet the Broncos yesterday, send half of your proceeds into the NFL Retired Referee Association to take care of those guys once they retire because they took care of you yesterday. How about this one? 40-6. The Indianapolis Colts. I didn't expect the Raiders to win this game. But, Joe, if there's one team in the offseason that I absolutely bludgeoned left and right on the SportsGrid network, it was the Raiders. Brady's coming to town. What did they do? They got Geno Smith, which I laughed at. He's a horrible quarterback. Seattle traded him and got compensation back and signed a much better quarterback and a cheaper price tag in Sam Darnold. What do they do? Draft a round 1 running back on a horrible football team. How's that working out for you? Ooh, Ashton Ginty, 67 yards yesterday. You got beat by 34. You signed Pete Carroll instead of just saying, hey, Pete, our goal here over the next 2 to 3 years is scrap this foundation, build it up and draft and then spend money. And Tom Brady comes and goes, ooh, we're ready to win right now. The Raiders are so horribly run. I love to see this. Backwards franchise. I called it. They got hammered.
Yeah, that's already now what? 2 games now that they've lost by at least 17 or more points. Not good here at all. And I don't blame Pete Carroll necessarily. I mean, but what are you supposed to do here with Geno Smith, who once again, against better teams, he has a hard time recognizing what jerseys his own players are wearing and throws it to the other team. But the under 500 crew, well, they'll win those games and he'll look great, but not against Indy. And I can't believe this is one of the few games the public was all over backing Indy, and the pros kept saying, no, this is great spot for the Raiders. No, it was not a great spot for the Raiders yesterday.
You're either trying to win a Super Bowl and you have a team that can win it, or you're scrapping it to build that foundation. Tom Brady, now I'm going to get to the point where, is Michael Jordan a worse owner GM than Tom Brady? Like, Tom Brady, you're an idiot for how you built this football team. And yes, you did build this football team. Away you go at this point. You know who else is an idiot? Yep. Back in the Miami Dolphins yesterday. You've got to be kidding me. The Carolina Panthers win this game 27-24. Bryce Young, 19 of 30 for only 198 and 2 touchdowns. Here's what didn't make any sense, Joe. Coming into this game, if I was going to bet this, I said, you know what? Carolina can't run the football. Chuba Hubbard is out. Like, Miami's defense stinks, but you're not going to get a good performance. Therefore, you might be able to make Bryce Young look like a little bit pedestrian at quarterback. Rico Dowdle, 23 carries for 206 against the Miami Dolphins defense. End the season, Joe, for the Dolphins. End it.
It's, again, I mean,
Rico
what's even
Dowdle.
worse is that you're up 17-0. And the Carolina Panthers had lost 38 straight when trailing by at least that many points in a game. And then Miami's defense showed you why it is. They're pretty much them, Dallas, the Jets. Yeah, that's they cannot be trusted to hold any lead against anybody this season.
You know, sometimes you go online, Joe, and they go, hey, man, this is interesting. Like when you cut the head off of a chicken, it's still able to run around without its head. Well, that's Jackson Dart for back-to-back weeks here. I don't know what he thinks at times where it's a helter-skelter, scatterboo offense. The Giants had the lead. Look at this. We're going to win this game. We're going to get the Eagles at home on Thursday night. We could have a win streak here. Until it wasn't. The Saints win 26-14. That Giants offense makes way too many mistakes, man.
Well, I mean, listen, this is part of the growing pains for a rookie quarterback that you started in week 4, right? So this was what they were trying to avoid and hope that Russell Wilson would give him an opportunity to, but it didn't work out. So 2 picks, an unforced fumble. I think there was 5 straight possessions in which the Giants turned the ball over. That's hard to do, Donnie. That really is hard to do, and the Giants did it.
Yeah, Shaheed, 87-yard touchdown, too. On the dot from Rattler, his only touchdown of the game. And also, welcome back, Taysom Hill. 6 carries, -1 yards, man. That's a if you told me Taysom Hill had 6 carries and his total is like 6.5 rushing yards, Joe, that's got to be a bad beat at that point here. But that's the NFL on a week-to-week basis right now. Other games after the Vikings, 21-17 over the Browns in that overseas game, which saw Carson Wentz come back. And then the Cowboys, 37-22 over the New York Jets, which we're going to get to a little bit later in the show. That's as embarrassing as it gets here. But that was the NFL yesterday. Tom Vecchio joins us next. Let's get some info on what happened.
Genti between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Tet McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The leader right now in the clubhouse in the odds market is Fernando Mendoza. College football purists, yep, absolutely know that guy. Fantastic. He's a great quarterback. Non-purists who are tuning in just for the biggest games, who is this guy, Joe, and how did he get here?
He came from Cal. He's a mobile kid. He's big. He's about 6'3", about 220. He's a gutty kid and had a great performance for Kirk Cignetti.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote-unquote can't-miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? Like, what's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Americans got to find answers in these partnerships, and I think they need to look at their who's making these decisions from a stat standpoint.
Well, it's so funny to me, especially coming off of the Walker Cup just a few weeks before, how it just seems like there's this glaring chasm between American partnered match play and American individual, singles match play.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
What a day it was in the NFL yesterday. My goodness. I love playing armchair quarterback right here on the SportsGrid Network. The early line. It's Donnie Wrightside along with Joe Ranieri. Now we welcome in Tom Vecchio. A crazy day from start to finish. No lead was safe. Teams looked like they were going to run away with football games, not only to not cover, to not win those games, Tom. We talked yesterday. It was a crazy setup. The games on the schedule didn't look all that appetizing. That was one of the more wild Sundays you're ever going to see.
Yeah, I guess that's why people say the NFL is the best reality show out there, because we just don't know what we're going to get on a week in and week out basis. Favorites at home by more than a touchdown end up not covering. Oh, they don't end up winning. It's not even about covering. It's about not even winning for some of these teams. The craziness that unfolds, your survivor picks, your pick'em leagues, whatever it might be, everything up in the air yesterday. And I thought we were going to get a pretty straightforward Sunday night game. And, you know, Brady said going into it last night, he's like, oh, the Bills are undefeated. And I had to stop him and said, they're undefeated as of now. And that came to fruition as the Pats came away with a stunning victory.
By the way, Tom, I'm going to ask you a question because we're going to get to that Monday Night Football game. I know you got a lot of good things here. But the evolution of, like, handicapping and gambling, per se, since legalized gambling came in 2017. Like, back in the day, as I like to say, and let's just say 2005 to 2015, most of it was, like, sides and totals. I don't think I've honestly bet many total I can count them on my hand for the past 2 to 3 years that I bet a side or a total of a football game where, like, props, you can get a good feel. Like, I had A.J. Brown yesterday, cash that prop, the Eagles lost. Keenan Allen, I had a horrible performance by the Chargers. I won that bet too. Last night, I had over 2 touchdown passes. You take a look at for Josh Allen. They lost the game, but I still won. Talk to me about your edge in the prop market as opposed to saying, like, you watched yesterday's slate. Like, how can you actually bet sides? It makes no sense.
So it's tough. Like, the one thing I'll say about player props is, like, there's always the risk of injury. So if you are betting a side, it's like, I know the Bills are going to finish the game, right? I know, like, this thing is going to happen, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know that James Cook was guaranteed to finish the game due to an injury. So, like, there is and I will say, things have evolved since 2018, where if you were blindly betting unders in 2018, you could be cashing those at 60% of the time. The books have gotten much sharper about the lines. So when I believe in a player usage, whether in any sport, like, I believe in the role that they play in snap count, red zone share, red zone target share, whatever it might be, target rate, all those things. I believe that the market can be wrong about these. And obviously, you have to get the right number at the right time. And the lines move quickly. So, you know, seeing when I'm on a player over 51.5 yards and that number closes at 58 yards, I think I was ahead of the market. If I can continuously do that, it's not about losing one bet or winning one bet. It's about the entirety of the season being right over the course of it, 55+% of the time.
All about variance. That's it. Try to eliminate it as best you can, and then hope for the best here. But it's a marathon. It ain't a sprint. And just ask the Kansas City Chiefs, who a lot of people were sticking a fork in after the first couple of games this year. But now is it an overreaction after what we got last week from this Chiefs offense? And now they got to travel to Jacksonville. The hook is still out there, Tom, which is kind of crazy, but. The Chiefs are going to get their public love. That's for sure. What are you thinking in this game?
I'm thinking under. And if I had to pick a final score, 24-20, 24-21, 23-20. And I think the Chiefs win. But to your point of the hook, if we have a 24-21, which is a very normal outcome, or 23-20, very common scores, like, the total is right there and the spread is going to be right there. So where you got the spread, what you have it at, I think is massively important. And, frankly, when it comes to reacting to the Chiefs, they come away with the win last week against Baltimore. How much are we drawing from that game, knowing how banged up Baltimore is? Because if you really look at the Chiefs' schedule, and again, I believe they win tonight. They beat the Giants. They're terrible. The Ravens dealing with a million injuries. Their defense is terrible. Lamar got hurt. It was Cooper Rush. So they come away with the win, but how impressive are these 2 wins? And Jacksonville has been playing much better. So I would take the points with Jacksonville, and I would take the under.
What are we looking at? Some of those props in the game, Tom. You take a look at Trevor Lawrence out there, Kareem Hunt. Take a look at Patrick Mahomes. Xavier Worthy, by the way, banged up, questionable here, saying shoulder, which we knew was injured, and the ankle. He's been the catalyst for Kansas City since coming back, Tom. But how are you playing this game tonight?
Let's start off with let's go with Kareem Hunt. Let's start with his prop. And I like him over 8.5 rush attempts. When we look at the Jags schedule and we look at really some of their rush metrics overall, they are very strong. They played Carolina in week 1. Doesn't impress me stopping them on offense. Same thing with the Bengals. Same thing with the Texans, right? Really 3 non-threatening rushing attacks. Last week, they go to San Francisco and they win, and they held McCaffrey to only 49 yards. Okay, I can buy into that. At least you impressed me in one game. But what we see from the Chiefs is that they're willing to give the ball to Kareem Hunt time and time again. He leads the duo of him and Isaiah Pacheco. He leads them when it comes to carries. So although he may not be super effective, I believe we will see Kareem Hunt get there over 8.5. And then finally, Trevor Lawrence. I like him under 212.5 passing yards. When it comes to the Jags, their pass play percentage right now is sitting at 20th in the league. They're not a super heavy pass team, despite having Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. They're not turning the ball over to Trevor Lawrence at a high volume. And I believe they want to control the game and prevent it from getting into a shootout with Patrick Mahomes. If Trevor Lawrence needs to throw for 300 yards, this game flies over. That's not a surprise. But I don't think that's the Jags' game plan coming into. They are a defensive first team this year, and running the ball should be their plan.
Well, Travis Etienne, right? 65.5 rushing yards is what it opened at. It should be getting loved. That game plan, and listen, it's not like the Chiefs have had a ton of success stopping the run this year. And if that's the case, are we focusing on Etienne in this one?
I think it's certainly very possible. His number, I think, got bet up just a little bit. But I will say his rushing prop is still sitting at 14.5, and he's been at least 14 attempts in every single game. So, of course, the yards are always viable. It's about what number you get. I also wouldn't mind him in a rushing plus receiving, just knowing he can break off one long reception in the backfield. He doesn't see a ton of work in the passing game, but you give me just another path to victory with the rushing plus receiving. I think that is viable.
Tom, you got about 15 seconds to vent for your New York Yankees. Go ahead.
I've been betting the Blue Jays every game. I've been betting the Blue Jays. FanDuel's got the boost. I'm throwing the boost on it. I've been betting Blue Jays money line every game. I'll be betting on the Blue Jays on Tuesday. Use the boost. Whatever your max is, I'm on the Blue Jays every game.
Tough seeing there. That's our guy, Tom Vecchio here. Breaking it all down for Monday Night Football. Tom, thanks for rising and grinding with us on the early line on the SportsGrid Network. We'll talk to you soon. Joe and Donnie, we'll be right back.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for 2, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think in a weird way that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They said hire a defensive coordinator, even after they just hired one previously with Robert Saleh, and then your interim coach was also a defensive coordinator, or hire another one they said would fix this defense that really wasn't broken here. The Jets feel like they're broken right now. And Ari Mirov had a tweet yesterday that said, the Jets are the first team in NFL history to start 0-5 and not record a single takeaway. Your coach is a defensive coordinator. He's supposed to have that side on lockdown, and you figure out what you have on offense. The defense is an absolute sieve. The Cowboys come to town and drop 37 on them. Quite frankly, they probably could have scored 57 if they wanted to. It's a mess in New York, and I don't see it getting better anytime soon, Joe.
It's not, honey. Like I said, it is a haunted house and a house of horrors. Becoming the New York Jets head coach is a no-win situation here. And all that fire and all that passion that we saw in the offseason when he was hired, and this will be the same old Jets. Yeah, okay. Well, it took 5 games, Donnie, for finally Aaron Glenn to be like, what in the hell am I doing here? Now, mind you, he was on one of the worst teams in the history of the NFL. Rich Kotite and the Jets, I think 1-15 they were, Donnie, back in the day. Yeah. I'm looking on this schedule here. I saw guys quitting yesterday on that team. There's only, how many more guys are you going to cut who fumble the ball? I don't understand. Like, none of it is working. And the sad part is Steve Wilkes, the defensive coordinator, will probably be sacrificed here at some point with this Jets defense being as bad as it is. Unfortunate, but they don't have any sort of. Who are the Jets, Donnie? I mean, right now, what is their identity? Because I have no idea, and I've been following them for decades.
Brutal. They're absolutely brutal. Like Justin Fields throwing close to 50 times in a game. Understand the circumstances. They were down late in the second half, but that's not the recipe for Justin Fields at this point. Defense, by the way, optional in this football game we're going to talk about now. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a 38-35 victory over the Seattle Seahawks, which the Seahawks lost this game. Sam Darnold was 28 of 34 for 341 yards and 4 touchdown passes. Their running game, 20 carries for $122, which if you can do the math, that's 6 yards per carry here. Jackson Smith-Njigba, one of the best young wide receivers in football, had 132 yards, and they lost. Why? Because Baker Mayfield went 29 of 33 for a passer rating of 134.7. It was bombs away, and mostly to Emeka Egbuka. Goodness, man.
Yeah, well, and this was all about the injuries taking their toll on that Seattle defense too, Donnie. I mean, as it is, they had late scratches. No Devin Witherspoon, no Julian Love, no DeMarcus Lawrence right off the bat to start the game. Then they lost Derek Hall and Rick Woolen in the first half there, and all of a sudden that was it. Tampa Bay was able to pick apart the backups without DeMarcus Lawrence. They weren't able to get any pass rush on Baker. And that was all she wrote. I mean, and Sam Darnold was perfect until he wasn't right there at the end, unfortunately. So, but you got to get a stop. They were up a touchdown with 2 minutes to go, Donnie. All they had to do was get a stop, and they couldn't stop the offense, which was kind of laughable.
The worst team in the NFL is the Tennessee Titans. The Titans got a win yesterday, which, again, week to week ebbs and flows. You say, you know what, makes some sense. They probably played well. If you bet yesterday, full game, straight wager on the Arizona Cardinals, that was the right side yesterday. Congratulations to you. Casino should be paying you out. But this is one of those where sometimes when you bet and you lose, it hurts so bad that you say, I never want to bet an NFL game again. This game, once again, was 21-6 heading into the fourth quarter. A long home run touchdown, which you made it 28-6, would have ended that game altogether. DeMercado decides to drop the football on the inch-yard line, and it turns into a touchback. But you can still redeem yourself. The Titans fight back a little bit, but they throw an interception, which you get inside the 5-yard line, which you're, 4 minutes ago in the game? That's a wrap. That's game. You're going to cover the spread. Only to catch the interception, fumble it into your own end zone for a touchdown for the Tennessee Titans, then lose late in the game on a field goal. Some things, Joe, you say, I've never seen that before. I've never seen a game like that play out the way it did yesterday.
Yeah, Donnie, was funny. We're covering this game on In-Game Live yesterday, watching it unfold, and all I can hear in the back of my head is that old Benny Hill music, right, in the background, because I'm watching the tip pass, I'm watching the intercept, then I'm watching him fumble, then I'm watching it, and then I'm watching the guy drop the ball before he gets to the end zone, and I'm going, this is an absolute unmitigated disaster here for Arizona. And, Donnie, that is why 62% of the survivor entries got knocked out yesterday in the big survivor pool. So there you go.
Life isn't fair. You're taught that right away. Betting sides in the NFL, it's just not fair sometimes. Hour number 2 is up next. Let's get after it.